Make sure that you subscribe to the channel that you're watching. And if you aren't over here on HAPS, make sure you come over to haps.tv/invite/ Vicky Fitch and come join us over here at HAPS where you can see all of the content, all the information from all the people contributing. So you can check it out. I'm over here trying to see if we're showing up on Facebook or we're still in the schnitzel box. I was stopped from sharing content yesterday. I couldn't reply to things. It seems like it's a perpetual place. I totally get it. Joanne Fam in the house. Welcome, Red and Moore. How are you, darling? Lorenzo, thank you for being here from Corpus Christi. It's good to see all of you guys. So, we got a good conversation today. We kind of started it the other day. You guys have been asking me what I thought about Caitlyn Jenner running for governor here in California. So, as you know, hey, from Nashville, welcome, Dale. Welcome. Good to see you. You guys know I like to come up with catchy phrases. Maybe some of you don't even catch it. I get it. Like to be or not to be was like to be or not to be, Shakespeare. This one, recall me this, is like riddle me this. So it's Nutty Newsom versus confused Caitlyn. So that probably gives you a perspective of where I came from, but why I got that perspective was through an interview, watching Sean Hannity interview her was interesting, right? It was interesting. Hey, welcome to the broadcast. It's good to see you. Yes, we're going to talk about that, Retta. Thanks for being here. Beth Hoover, welcome to the broadcast. No V, right? Did you notice I used the hashtag Novnom in my broadcast today? Only those regular watchers and viewers know what hashtag Novnom is, but you guys are the best. Retta says, Caitlyn Jenner said, I support illegal immigration. I know, right? Sean Hannity correct her. And he said, you mean legal? She said, yes. I know, I watched that. But I want to know if you guys caught some other things. And this is where I go with confused Caitlyn because Retta's right. She did say that. And then because Sean said legal, you mean legal? And she goes, yeah, what did I do? Forget the legal part? No, thanks for keeping me on track. But did you notice some of the other things she said? I know he, she, whatever I'm going to use the pronoun she finds preferential, but I noticed she didn't exactly use her own pronoun, and we're going to talk about that in 1 second, right? And put a 1 in the chat box if you already know what I'm talking about. If you watch the interview, because like I said, it gets very confusing. First of all, that voice is deep. And so if you're not watching, you think it sounds like a male voice. So I don't know if the hormonal portion didn't go to there or he's not taking those hormones. I'm again, the whole thing is a little bit confusing to me. To each his own, feel free to do it. But if you want to be the governor of a state that has the third largest economy in the world, we better make sure that you're equipped for the job, correct? Let's see. Oh, you guys, it's so wonderful. I love that you guys say hello to each other. And do you like her? Are we talking about Caitlyn? That'd be a no. Like, not as a person, but as a candidate. And again, my only information that I had prior to that, because you guys asked me the other day, and I had seen her, I guess it's kind of like the video she did, to announce her candidacy. And it looked conservative and it sounded, decent. I mean, anybody can put a bunch of clips together or put something. I told you, I thought it was weird, not necessarily weird, but I felt like, from a mental perspective of people trying to wrap their heads around it, I thought there's a little disassociation that occurred with me while I'm watching. Oh yeah, there's Bruce Jenner winning the Olympics. And then you got Caitlyn Jenner modeling. I felt like that was a clash right there that would cause people conflict that, maybe that's the way they felt that it needed to be done. But I think it's a hard road to I think the expression is hard road to hoe, but I'm not sure if I said that right. So I want to be careful, right? Did he have full surgery? I don't know, Dale, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. And like I said, when the voice hasn't changed, usually even a trans, the voice goes up. You know that with Dr. Rachel, what's her name? The HHS person that were what is it? I forgot. But anyway, that her voice is higher in pitch, but his is still so low, or hers is still so low. Uh, it's it's a little disconcerting. Like I said, remember, if you're trying to get the world to accept you in one role, and then you're trying to apply for a public position, right? And I say apply, meaning you're putting your hat in the ring, you're talking about the issues, saying that you're qualified. But this is where things went really weird. Like, if you didn't see the interview, I had posted 2 pieces of it on my timeline. So, I marked the time stops. That's kind of what I try and do for you guys. Mark some time stops, so if you guys wanna go hear it personally. Now, I don't know if you were watching the entire interview straight through where these time stops would hit, because the first one I think would hit right on because it's the first section when they actually got interviewed. The second one, of course, I have brand new starting from the beginning time stops, so not sure, but I'm just going to kind of go over it with you because I think that this is important because that's where people make their decision. And there are things that are like subconscious things that are happening to people, and I call them disconnects. When you have a series of disconnects with your audience, then that means that you're unlikely to reach the achieved goal, right? And that's part of marketing, it's part of psychology, but there was so many of them. Like I said, when I talked about the video that you see Bruce Jenner winning the Olympics, and I keep thinking of him on my Wheaties box when I was a kid, and then you see him as a model, and we know he's on the Kardashians, and the voice though is still deep. So it's a series of disconnects where your brain is having a harder time wrapping around it. And then when you're having the conversation, and I don't want to say she's dodging the questions, but it didn't go well. That's why I hashtagged it confused Caitlin. So let's just kind of dive into there. And by the way, again, if you guys are new to the broadcast, please hit the share. And you guys know, again, I'm always in the schnitzel box. Pretty much, I think Haps is the only place that I can get my peeps. I mean, some of the content gets out. A couple people get in from other places, but they're finding it harder and harder to get to. But that, it is what it is, right? Give up, Caitlin. Vicky will win governor of California. I have to say, from some of the candidates, we've got a porn star, we've got Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, some of the candidate choices we have, I definitely would be a better option for sure. Hey, Salt Lake City, Scotty, it's nice to see you. Welcome to the broadcast. All right, yeah, I know. If you haven't seen the options so far that are listed, I mean, there's John Cox is there, and at least he has some background, and we'll talk about other candidates a different day, but this one, I just feel like we have to go there. And then as we start kind of dissecting it, if you watch the interview, I think you'll catch on to what I mean. Because most of the time, we're very passive listeners, right? We're passive watchers to things because we're in this generation today. We tend to be on our phone, oh, we're looking, we're listening, but we're doing something else. So we're not actually dialed in to what people are saying, whether it's politicians, newscasters. We're not listening to the voice inflection. We're not listening to their specific word choices. It's more of a subconscious thing that we're just kind of processing and letting it kind of register in our subconscious. And that's what I'm doing, active listening. And then, like I said, I think that it will be easy for you guys to go, oh, I totally get that, when you're actually active listening instead of just maybe passively listening. So we have a chance. There you go. Retta Moore says, what one question would you ask Jenner if you see her one day face to face? Let me think about that, Retta, while I go over this stuff. And because I'm not sure right now. And do you mean on the kind of personal level, or you mean if she was gonna run? Like if she was running, and would it be something on a political level? What were you referring to? Okay, so first of all, when she comes out on the interview with Sean Hannity, she says, "Wait, wait, I have a gift for you." And there's nothing wrong with the gift. When you're pandering, when you're trying to, it's like, have you guys ever seen, put a 2 in the chat box if you ever seen a comedian that was new and he didn't have his jokes quote quite right, he didn't have his timing quite right, and so some of the information was kind of funny, or maybe it hit kind of right, but the other parts didn't hit right. Right? Put a 2 in the chat box if you know what I'm talking about. That's what I felt like was happening here. Like, she's practicing, she's trying to perform, right? And I get that politics in some ways is a performance, but it's also who you are as a legitimate person. I mean, let's face it, live streaming is a performance, but mine, for instance, come from my heart, from who I am as a person. I just try and tell it like it is. When you guys ask me questions, I actually try and create a thoughtful answer. It's not some verbatim, "Doo, doo, 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 doo. This is the rhetoric I've heard. I'm going to just go ahead and spit it back out." I think about what I'm saying to you and I deliver a message. And so I think that it probably comes through as transparent and authentic and honest. Whether you like it or not, that's totally up to you. But the delivery is there. It's authentic. It's just this. It is what it is. When someone plans stuff, and kind of like when you see a new live streamer who creatively, like dis- displays, something like, oh, the audience is here, or they specifically go, and make sure that the word is going out, from a sponsor, but they don't do it well because it's not just sitting there. They've placed it there, and they've placed it there. And so it doesn't feel very authentic. So when she comes out in the beginning and she gives him, "Oh, I got a present for you," and it's a mask, and Sean says, I can't really take gifts or something like that. And then he holds it up and it says, "Recall Gavin Newsom." So it's kind of like, okay, but he's already been recalled. I mean, we're in the middle of it. Like, I didn't get the point. It wasn't funny, but it was kind of, it's like, okay, we know you're running for governor and he's already on the recall ballot. I don't know. It didn't land right. It was like a joke that didn't land right, or a sarcasm that didn't hit, didn't quite get the point. So that's how I felt. And let me know if you guys understand what I'm saying there, if that, what that means. I'm very Retta says I'm very apolitical but interesting to hear. And let's see, Dale says, was it like brain dead talking? I don't want to say brain dead talking because I didn't feel like she was an airhead, that she didn't have answers or that her answers were out of left field. But the answers were not the answers anybody I know would want to hear. Like, they're too vague. Like, she didn't have a plan already. She didn't know where she stands, and she's coming through with an agenda. This is what I would do. Sean asked some really good questions, and her answers were kind of lame. They kind of, missed the mark. So let me just kind of tell you that he, one on the 2-minute 30 mark, she said she's in a race for solutions, but she didn't have any solutions or suggestions, right? It was like, well, we got to fix the country. Well, we all know we got to fix the state. Well, we know we got to fix the state, but what are you going to do to fix the state? What's your plan to fix the state? And all you heard was kind of regurgitated rhetoric that we already know. We know that we need to open the state up, and we know that. And she even used the things which I'm going to get to in a second, but she used the examples that, again, was like rhetoric you've heard from the media over and over and over. There was nothing new here. Like, she brings up Newsom and the going to the French Laundry. I mean, that was months ago, and it had nothing really to do with the topic at hand. She was finding ways to drop in, what in sales often you call landmines, right? But drop in, these little things that were going to explode, but they're old and we already know all that stuff. It wasn't relevant to the conversation. So, it wasn't relevant. They weren't having a conversation about hypocrisy. And then she drops in stuff about Pelosi and going to the hairdresser. And she's like, I couldn't get into my hairdresser, but she can get into hers. And my restaurant is still closed. But he's out dining at the French Laundry. And it's like, wait a minute, because I mean, I live here in California. I don't know. I think, doesn't Caitlyn Jenner live in Malibu? Someone let me know. I think Malibu is and I think the restaurants there are open. So it was really hitting sideways with me because I was like, what? This interview was just 2 days ago. It wasn't, 6 weeks ago. And the restaurants are open. They're allowed, I think, at 25% capacity. So it was almost like your information's old, you're not up to date and current, and maybe I'm wrong, but again, there was nothing like today or each day I try and come and bring you some pieces of news that are either current or really relevant to what's going on. And this was almost like I went through and I picked up the worst things that have happened. I'm just going to use this as my magic brew, but it wasn't cohesive and there was no plan. There's no actual direction or plan on what you're going to do. I'm going to read what you guys are doing. It's making a lot of sense. You're saying what I'm saying is, thank you. Sorry, out of topic, Vicky. Why is the GOP getting rid of Liz Cheney? She's cool. Why first? Bretta, we talked about her last night. We got to talk about her again, but I got to do this topic. Because she's a rhino, Retta. She's a rhino, just like Mitt Romney. She's a rhino with a capital R. I understand. I like listening to all opinions. Excellent. Yeah. And the same That's what I want you guys to do. I don't want you guys to take my opinion. I'm going to give you my opinion, but where it's based from, and let you go do your own research and see, yeah, oh, I get what she's saying, or I heard what she's saying, but I don't agree with that. And that's, like I said, that's okay too. But just take it and look at it from that perspective and see, do you see what I see? Um, Here's a solution, finish the wall. Okay, see, that's a good point. He asked her about that. And let me get back down to what she said. I'll get there in one sec. Let me just tell you, because she kept saying, like, she goes, someone has to stand up. The reason because someone has to stand up. But she's standing up, but she had nothing, because usually you'd say, we got to step up, stand out, and speak. We have to stop being silent, and we need to address this, this, and this. These are the three things that are crushing us right now, not just the fact it's crushing. Oh, yeah, I'm watching our state crumble. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? And excuse me, he asked her, well, back up one really quick. When I said that she was missing her own gender, she said, I'm a patriarch, right? And if you guys know, patriarch is male, matriarch is female. So he was referring to himself, or she was referring to himself, or however you're supposed to politically correctly state that. He identified himself as a male because that's what a patriarch is. Matriarch, patriarch. So again, another disconnect going, wait a minute, I thought, okay, you're a woman. Wait, there were so many disconnects that I had a hard time listening. When I watched the video the first time, most of it went through really well. The Bruce Jenner coming through with the Olympics, and then the model thing was the disconnect, but the rest of it sounded good. It was good sound bites. But when you're confused about your own gender, or you're even delivering your own gender in the wrong terms, that suggests to me, again, if someone else had, there's a little bit of confusion there. Whether it's a lot of confusion or only a little bit, that's up for you to decide. But that was there. And then she said, and then she makes this dig. Okay, which again, I totally agree with the statement about how hypocritical it was that, we got over 2 million signatures for the recall notice. We only needed, I think it was 1.4. And she says the Dems had to verify every single signature. Can you believe it? Like, okay, of course we can believe it. It was mistimed humor, kind of. Because, like, if I'm saying it, like, well, lo and behold, guess what? There they were they're trying to identify every single signature. And yet, see, that's where the point is. They refuse and are supporting this racist theory that having to show identification or having signature verification or any of these things is somehow racist or shouldn't be done, but they're doing it in this. So you identify the hypocrisy with the actual statement, not just some sarcastic thing that somebody may or may not grasp if they have been in tune with the election. Because if you're trying to be a political leader, you're trying to gather people that are not political too. You want to get them on your side. There's a lot of people that don't understand why the recall notice is gone, and they're kind of just trolling on. And if they like Caitlyn, then they're checking out this interview, but they don't even know what those mean, because the jokes and the sarcasm wasn't landing because it didn't have any meat behind it. It was all like random little bits. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to check your comments and I'm going to go back down here. Yes, she does live in a hill in Malibu, nice house. It was caught on fire during the fire climate a long time ago. She was mentioning that too, about her own house. And this was weird because she's talking about the police and firefighters, and he was asking her what she thought about some of the things. I don't remember if she brought up the fire first or he did, but he was asking her about the forest, the Department of Forestry, and they be doing control burns and these other things. Instead of she said they need to do a better job, and instead of actually answering it and how she would direct it to go, she starts telling stories about her own house and how she cuts her own brush back, and how there was this one time where, it was 17 miles away and all of a sudden it was at the house. It was like, okay, this isn't an interview about you as a person and we want to hear about your personal struggles. We're trying to find out what you intend to do as governor. But there was never any answers. It was stories and anecdotes and, kind of lilty things. And there's two things. sorry about that. I want to bring up that, that I think are really, really important, that where the way she referred to herself, about when he asked her about if she's a Republican and stuff like that. But yes, let me go back to your questions. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, welcome, Earthlings. Hey, not vaccinated. I like that. Um, I'm I'm heading. Wait, I am hearing Liz Cheney to meet with Biden. He and she give fist bumps together during the joint address a week ago. Yeah, she's pretty tight with the Democratic administration without actually supporting her own party, and that's why the party is frustrated with her, because she acts like a rhino. She's not acting like a Republican, and she's not supporting her own party. Was Sean Hannity in California? Yes, he actually flew here, and the interview was done in her hangar because she has her own hangar, and you could hear the planes and stuff going by. And that's the other thing. She kept identifying I have, yeah, this is my hangar, and I have this artwork of like my dad on the wall and so on the wall. And she was talking about, D-Day, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with adding in stories to your content. As a matter of fact, that's the best way to get an emotional response and to get people to really understand who you are. That's a really authentic and transparent way. But these stories were random. I mean, kind of. They had a bridge to being in the ballpark of conversation, but not about being a governor. It was more like being interviewed as a person, not as a potential candidate. So he asked her about passionate disruptor. She says she's a passionate disruptor. And then she says, I toyed around with that for a while. And now I think maybe I'm a thoughtful disruptor. Again, that doesn't show confidence that you've thought about your platform, you've identified who you are, you've got your hashtag and you've got your tagline and you're ready to go at it. It says I'm still playing around. I'm a thoughtful disruptor. I'm passionate disruptor, but I'm really thoughtful because I'm smart. And it was just, I don't know how to explain it. I was less than impressed for sure. And later I became even concerned. Hi. Oh, Tessie, thanks so much for the high award. Totally appreciate it. By the way, if you guys don't know, over here on Haps, you get some free coins every day. You can also buy some coins to support your favorite broadcasters. And of course, we appreciate that as a social currency here to go ahead and slap some of that on us. It just lets us know that you guys appreciate the broadcast. Dale says, I'm afraid halfway through the term, she will switch and become a Democrat. Well, Dale, I don't even think it's halfway through the term, because this is what she said when he asked her. I've got to look through, instead of going directly through my notes, let me tell you, at the 8-minute mark on the first video, he asked her if she's a Republican, a Democrat, an independent. She never clarified. This is what she said. And this is not an exact quote, but it's very close. I've always been on the Republican side of, and then I can't remember what word choice, but basically she meant on issues like on financial issues. I've been on the Republican side, but I am socially progressive. Okay, so socially progressive right now is a Democrat that's flying on the left, right? Because the progressives right now are really pushing a very left leaning agenda. So when you say you've always, been on the Republican side, like I've always kind of hung out there, but her obvious, right? And we mean this, I mean this emphatically, her obvious passion for the progressive side, and she talked about the LGBTQ community and she talked about these things. I can tell you, as a California resident and voter, I have a big problem with that particular statement, because we already have what I feel is endangering children by allowing them at 12 years old to start gender reassignment surgery in the public school system, where the state pays for it and the parents don't get to know about it. I have a huge problem with that. I think it's child abuse for sure. Kids at 12 years old hardly know. They're not even teenagers yet. They don't know who they are. Half their bodies haven't even started growing yet, and yet we're going to try and let them change genders. They can't vote, they can't drink, they can't smoke, they can't drive a car. But if you'd like to go ahead and mutilate your genitalia and mutilate your opportunity to reproduce, because as soon as you start taking those things, your body can't catch up if you're changing it before it's had a chance to mature. And so these are permanent decisions. And we already know we have a HHS, director or secondary director. I think what is her assistant HHS, right? Rachel Levine or Levine, whatever her name is. She has already said she even thinks we can have conversations with 5 and 6 year olds about it. So I have a huge problem, and even just that piece alone would absolutely, if everything else was great, that piece alone would stop me from considering her as a candidate, because you can't. I'm on the Republican side, but I'm very socially progressive. So that's, socially progressive with this kind of agenda with the kids, this socially progressive with the Green New Deal, socially progressive, that's right now the social progressiveness is 90% of the Democratic platform right now. And like I said, I don't even consider the current Democratic platform Democratic. It's leftist. It's gone way beyond the Democratic platform. It's turned into a socialist, you know, objective. It's way beyond. So it's not, like I said, if you think of Republican and then Democrat, leftists are out here, and that's where we're at right now. That's there. Joe tried to claim that he was a moderate, but he's nowhere. He's not even the moderate zone. He's not even he's not even in that region at all. So anyway, so that's what made me really concerned. So she's not a Republican. And she didn't even say she was a Republican, and she could always say that. Well, I said I was, on the Republican side of some things. She's not a Republican. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if she's a Democrat. I don't know if she's an independent, but she's confused, and she can't. She at least can't deliver. And when he asked her about the transgender men competing in women's sports, her answer was very interesting, right? Her answer was, I'm trying to look at here. We need to make sure the integrity of girls' sports is, I think it says met or something. Okay, but what did that mean? And then she said, because, there's a lot more to it, and I'll have to explain it in the future. Wait a minute. No, we want you to explain now. That's exactly what EO Joe did during the election. I'm not going to tell you what I think about that until afterwards. I'm not going to tell you. That's a clue, people. And I don't know how people miss that, but that's a clue. Well, this is a clue. We'll talk. Well, it's more complicated than that. We'll talk about it later. So that progressive, where she's identified she's a progressive socially, we know where that's going. And you guys probably saw the news today that the transgender weightlifter that is probably going to the Olympics. So the girls that have been working at this now, personally, I don't understand weightlifting as a goal or a desire, right? Because it's nothing that I'm interested in. But they have been working really hard at this for a very, very long time. I'm sure you don't just wake up one day and say, "Hey, I'd like to be a Olympic weightlifter." You just, that's something that you have to work towards, and it's something that you want to do, and you continue to try. And so here's this person, and it really is stealing their opportunity to go to the Olympics if that happens. I think it's sad. I think it's like I said, I get the challenge, that, but it's not fair, and we have to be fair. If you want to have your own division, that's fine. If you want to compete with the way you were born biologically, that's fine. But taking a biologically male body, I mean, think about it. If Caitlyn Jenner was younger, you're taking an Olympic body, an Olympic male, and you turn him, and he turns female, and then he's going to compete in the female. We've already got we've got muscle tone, we've got different things that have developed. So it's really, like I said, it's a very difficult thing, but she's obviously, like I said, with her answers, she dodged some answers. She partly answered things. The wall was another one. She said, let's see, some people have to go back, but it's we need to secure the border. And then she went on to this story about a person that she knows that's illegal, and that she would do anything to make sure he can stay in the country, and he's the best person she knows. And it was not a political, it was supposed to be a political interview, but you could see she either doesn't have that. I mean, if you're going in for a political position. Like right now, if I was campaigning for some political position, I would tell you my platform was, what I believed in, what the problems here were, what are the challenges, how can we resolve them, and saying, I'd like to uh, pool information from the most brilliant minds. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to have a goal. You have to have an objective right now. You have to have a plan. If you're going to announce that you're running, you need to already have your plan. You need to have the agenda and what you plan on doing it. Did you guys see the a video? Okay, this was actually a great video. I I didn't finish it yet. Let me look and pull it up, and because you guys have probably seen it, it's been making its rounds. Let's see. My friend sent it to me. Hold on one sec there. If you guys are sending messages, I can't see them because I'm over here grabbing this. Meetkevin.com. Did any of you guys check out meetkevin.com? Okay, he's got this video and he's talking about running for governor, if I remember correctly. But the what I'm pretty sure he's running. He's thinking about running for governor of California. But what I liked, even though I think he's a little bit young, and again, his comedy was off, right? It wasn't hitting the mark. But his mission, his message about what the heck is wrong with, and maybe it was president. He might have been trying to run for president. I don't remember because I heard it about 3 weeks ago. But what I remembered is the guy had a plan and it actually made sense. He had an agenda. He's like, whether I run or not doesn't matter, but this is what I would do. And a lot of it made a lot of sense. And again, I didn't finish watching it, but the thing is, here I am, a guy that I've never heard of. He delivered in this video what should change, and it was really good information. I'm trying to remember, because he was talking about housing. I think it was for California, but he was talking about housing and different things, and this is how you do it, and this is how you get the businesses back. You do this and you do this. And again, it may part of it maybe is brainstorming, right? And that he's going to go later, oh yeah, okay, these things wouldn't necessarily work, we'd have to modify them, but they had merit. They got merit, they've got a basis, and he had a plan, and it was a pretty long video. I mean, this was a pretty articulate uh something he had put together on purpose, deliberate, not trying to tell you stories about his father and other people and what he's doing with his life, but he had a plan. So let me check out your messages again. If Gavin Newsom run with Jenner, I may vote for Jenner. Maybe. Well, Gavin, you guys know how this recall works, right? So the recall, um, and I think we were not 100% sure on the other one, but so the recall ballot will come in and it has a question. Do you want to I don't know if the wording, right? Do you want to recall Gavin Newsom, yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then you need to pick someone below. You have to pick someone to vote for. Now, if he has 51% of the people that say no, they don't want him to go, then he will remain governor. If less than that, this is the way I understand it. Again, this is not an official thing. This is the way I understand it, though. I did do got a little bit of information on it from somebody I know, and this is what they had mentioned to me. So if he doesn't get 51%, then whoever has the most votes is the new governor. And that's the way. There's not another special election after that. It's all done at one time. So this, you'd have to, again, in this case, Retta, if you were a California resident, then you would have to say yes or no to recall Newsom, and then you'd have to pick one of the candidates. And like I said, there's some people. Now, I haven't done my research on Major Williams. I saw a few videos and I liked them because he was putting Maxine Waters in her place, and we all know me and Mad Max are not tight. So I liked that. I didn't do any research on him. I'm going to. I didn't see him on the list of people whose hat was in the ring, but I know he had been talking about it because he'd basically been campaigning for it for a while, talking about what a horrible job she does, how she doesn't care for the people. He actually lives in the district where she is. She doesn't live in her own district, and he kind of delivered a message there that was interesting. She's a Relbacrate. I don't know if I'm reading that wrong. Retta says she said in her running ad that she will work with Democrat and Republicans. So technically she's a Demo Republican. I used to call myself a Demopublican, but I think that's kind of supposed to be an independent. Maybe that's the bridge builder. I'm not sure, Retta, but that's a good question. All due respect to you, Vicky. I see Republicans are are going very far right too, don't get me wrong. You know, Red, I think there's some that are, and it depends on what you think is far right. Like, what do you consider far right? Um, you know, some people consider the abortion issue, whether, abortion is, a right to your, right to life or right to your body kind of thing, and they consider that like a right wing thing. I consider myself a conservative for sure, but I would consider myself more in the in a I guess mid road, because I was going to say a moderate conservative, meaning like I have a big heart for social services and policies and things to help people get ahead, but not to give them a handout. More like teach them how to fish, and not give them the fish all the time. And so like I said, I always used to call myself a Demopublican because I really do have a heart for people and for social, things and helping people that are struggling. At my website, and what I live by is, the Bible says, to whom much is given, much will be required. And I believe I've been given a lot, even though I've had a very rough road at some points in my life, being in a wheelchair for 3.5 years. Those kind of things have been very, very difficult. But God gave me a really sharp mind and ability to lead. He's given me, tremendous success in business and in life, and helping people, and a talent for being able to break complex topics down into more simplified ways. So I believe it's what he's called me to do is to be, help other people, and make sure that I'm teaching people, leading people, not just giving, not doling out, because it doesn't help. Statistically, it doesn't help. Doling out something to someone who's on the street and is hungry is one thing, and it's good. Like giving people that start. But then leading them and coaxing them into how can you be successful. I wrote a book called, one of the books in the 12 books 12 months series was called You're Broke, Not Broken. And it was a reminder for people that, your internal worth has nothing to do with your external circumstances. And that when we let pride go, which is one of the bullies that hang out in your headspace from book number 2, right? When you let go of pride and those things, we can do lots of stuff and we can get ahead and make something of ourselves. And that book is about a man that lost everything, and he and his son ended up living in a tent on the beach. And it's the way the story goes through, and watching him build an empire just from teaching his son how to be a good money manager with their pennies. I mean, literally, it's like I said, I love that book because I feel like it's got a heart for people, but always trying to help, always trying to give. And here in my community, we have this thing called SVL Free, right? And my friend, I don't know if she's even watching today, her name's Cassandra. She put this thing together, and anything you have that you don't want anymore, and there's only 4,100 homes in this community. I think there's only 800 people in the group. But my point is that when someone has something that they don't want anymore, they just post it for free. And then, whoever wants it, it calls, messages, or sometimes it's just outside and you have an address and you can just go pick it up. But every Wednesday, she has what's called Make a Wish Wednesday. And for me, that's one of my favorite things to do. I love to go to Make a Wish Wednesday and see if I have something I can give these people. And it's a very small example of what I'm talking about, but it's the way your heart feels when we can give and we can help other people. It's not continuing to hand out, but it's helping people to do things, and those people help other people to do things. And if somebody has something and then it didn't end up working out, they regift it to someone else. But it's this neat little community thing. And I think we have the opportunity to help people without continuing to do, tons of handouts and giving the illegal immigrants here money to live on. And I don't know if you guys know, but I think it was New York that's giving them up to $21,000. And here they can get up to $15,000 for an illegal immigrant. Can you imagine? I mean, I'm not saying that the people aren't worth it, but I'm saying imagine just for a moment that if somebody told that you lived in a poor country or a poorer nation, and someone told you, well, if you break the law, if you go across this and you get on the other side, you're getting free food, free housing, free healthcare, free education, and they're going to give you cash. I mean, what are we expecting? What are we expecting? And they're just giving more and more and more. And yet we have veterans here that are living on the street. We've got a huge homeless population just here in California alone. I can't speak for the rest of the nation. But why are we working so hard to reach out and provide that to other people than we are for our own people? Right? And I mean, there are people here that want to work and that do need that step up. They need a helping hand. They need a program to help them get in. Here's some food, whether it's a shelter and you can eat here every night. And you can continue staying as long as you're doing some type of work. And here's some opportunities for work. When we give people a chance to feel pride and feel good about themselves, they can continue to progress, progress. They can continue toward progress, right? They can continue making strides. But when we just keep handing it out to them, you don't have any pride about that. You don't feel good about yourself that you're becoming something more and that you're, elevating yourself because you're trying, because you're putting out effort. And so anyway, I apologize if I went off a little bit, but that's what I think. Hopefully that makes sense. Um, let's see. Tess says she can't see my post. Can you help her? She marked me as spam. I don't see anything that's marked as spam here. There's no comments that are spam, and that gives me opportunity to open it back up. So I don't know why that would be. Let's see. We probably won't have a fair chance to vote on the recall. Barb, I'm not sure that we will. But I'm hoping we will, especially as all this stuff starts coming out in other states about the election stuff. And Dale's always really good about posting that website that you should go watch those videos. If for nothing else than to have it as an arsenal against anything else, if you don't believe it and you're having a conversation like I am, just kind of dissecting it, just watch it for the information value, whether you believe it or not. And then you can say, yeah, I watched that and I thought it was complete trash and this is why. Or I watched that and yeah, it really opened my eyes. But we should continue gathering that additional information, and hopefully that pieces of information that are being gathered from other states will help us secure our previous election principles, which are not random, everybody gets one, but that we actually hopefully have to provide voter ID, that we have to provide ID to prove who we are, signature verification, because I want my vote to count, and I don't feel like they do right now, the way things are going. Joanne, thank you for the super hard award. I appreciate it, my friend. And again, as a reminder to you guys, if you're whatever platform you're on, make sure you're following me. Make sure you got the live notifications on. But I highly recommend, because if you don't know, I'm in the Schnitzel box on most of my social media platforms. As a matter of fact, even here on Haps, we had in our first broadcast last week, there were 200 there's 3 or 400 views that are going through right now. We have 40 people in here. And why is that? Because I'm being suppressed on all my social channels, and that's the truth. And that's okay, I don't mind. But if you guys do me a favor and share it out, or at least come over to Haps, because I don't know how much longer I'll be on those platforms. This Facebook puts me in the Schnitzel box daily, right? I can't, half the days I cannot post or I cannot comment on things, and then I get back out and I go back at it and do the same thing, because as the hashtag I use, stop being silent, I don't want to be silent. I'm trying to not be vicious or attack. I'm just being honest. Here's the way I see it, and then let's have a conversation. And of course, you can come over here on Haps. You can see the conversation from the other people that are here, and even get to know some of them and see if you have some like-mindedness with some of those people, because it's always nice to be around other people that understand your perspective. Your first public office speech right there. Thanks, Dale. Tess, good evening to Coach Dale from Tessie. You guys are awesome. Let's see. Where do I sign up? Right, Joanne? Right. Where do I sign up for that free cash? Because I don't know. I'd like 20 grand dropped in my lap. I mean, hey, I'll at least invest it and do something with it. As you guys know, I think, well, most of you probably know, as part of the book series, I was starting a nonprofit. The thing is, then COVID hit. We were starting it in March of last year, right when COVID hit, and that was my whole goal. And I've written through about it in the books, but my whole when I was a kid, I always said, I know I'm going to be rich. I know I'm going to be famous. Well, of course, I wanted to be an actress back then, but I just knew it. I just knew I was going to be rich and famous. And so I wanted I thought I would have to win the lottery to do this, but I was like, "I just wanna win the lottery because then I can give somebody a house, like a family that really needs it. I can pick them up and put them in a house and, help them with some wardrobe and then get jobs, but just kinda give them that really high step." I mean, I was young at the time too, but that really high step up so they could move on because people do need help sometimes, and there's nothing we should never be ashamed whether you had a bad investment, whether you went bankrupt, whether, maybe you were addicted to something and you were struggling. Maybe you were just a fool, right? Maybe you were just young and stupid, or maybe you were just older and stupid and you just blew all the money you had and you're like, "Holy crap, I'm starting from nothing." We should never be embarrassed about who we are. We should just work towards getting better, right? And I always say in Evict the Bully in Your Head, which is book 2 in the 12 books, 12 months series, the big 3 bullies are fear, doubt, and shame. And those 3 should never control who you are. And we have to just accept, yeah, okay, I made a mistake because it doesn't change your value as a person. The fact that you may have been bankrupt or you lost your house or your car or you were living on the street or you're living in it doesn't matter. All that stuff is it's just the window dressing. You People make mistakes, things happen. It doesn't change who you are as a person, but you need to work at changing because you want to be better, not because society says you're not good enough the way you are. So, now like the nonprofit, my friend Maggie actually who watches the broadcast sometimes, she wanted to do it with me because I was looking for donations for some of the things I was going to do and I wanted to have property and to be able to house people that were struggling for certain periods of time. And when I was, let's see, when I was 20, my first house, before I ended up selling it, I turned it into, a kind of a halfway house for people that were recovering addicts to try and give them a leg up, to try and give them an opportunity to make something of themselves. So, this has been a mission of mine for a long time. It's getting more clearly defined as I get older, and right now, like I said, with COVID, it was harder getting donations and it was harder getting things. But that's a plan that I have. But I want to help. I want to give them building blocks. I don't want to just dump truckloads of money on them. Because as they always say, if you don't know how to manage $10, you're never going to be able to manage $1 million, right? If you cannot work with what you have, no matter what it is, you're not going to do better. We had and I'm going to tell you this story because I think it's very relevant. We had a neighbor in our old neighborhood. They won the lottery. They won $26 million. They had come from living with a relative. They were living in their house, for free, and they came and purchased $1 million home. And um, like I said, it didn't change who they were as people. I really liked them. I mean, whether you have money or don't have money, our kids were friends, but the spouse was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and he made interesting choices with the finances. One time he came back from Las Vegas and he had left the windows open on his Hummer. So instead of having it detailed, he brought it to the dealership and bought a new one and turned that one in because it was dirty. So am I saying everybody is like that when, when you have nothing and then all of a sudden you have a heck of a lot? Does everybody make decisions like that? No. But if you didn't learn to handle the money when it was little, you're not going to change handling it when it's big. And unfortunately, they ended up, you know, um, losing the house and stuff like that. But the point is that we have to learn when things are small and let them grow. And sometimes it's hard, even as parents watching our kids, it's hard, right? It's hard to watch your kids struggle and still teach them those lessons, right? It's just really hard. Let's see. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for everything. You guys are very helpful. Give a hand up, not a handout. Exactly. When I accidentally hit the button, it blocked you. Oh, well, I think she blocked you because you're not blocked on here, Dale. Mad Max cares about me. Oh, yeah, she does. Right, Retta. That she's a nut job. You have to believe that, Retta. You've seen that woman. She's scary. Um, let's see. We can't get rid of Nutty Newsom soon enough. I agree, Share. I agree. Let's see who's on face who's on FB anymore anyway, right, Joanne? Retta says, I am politically on Twitter, breaking news, politics, world events, and more. Don't get in the schnitzel box. Yeah, I hear that. I'm always in the schnitzel box. You should sue China for loss of wages due to the Kung flu. I like that, Dale. I like it. Who we are as a nation, bring unity back and build stronger. Retta, I'm 100% for that. Like 150 million% for that. That I don't care if we're Democrat or Republican, but we do have to look at our nation first. And that is, and we can build from there. But if we don't agree that America has to come first, because again, the whole adage in the airlines, right? Put on your own oxygen mask first and then help others. Because otherwise you'll be depleted and passed out before you ever get a chance to help anyone else. And that's why it's important. We have America needs to be first. And after that, the rest of it we can work on, but one of the things I have to bring up in a future broadcast is the list of things. Have you guys looked at the infrastructure bill? Put a 4 in the chat box if you've honestly looked at the infrastructure bill. It is a freaking joke. We don't need 99% of the stuff that's in there. We don't need it. It's not about infrastructure. It's about, pet projects and stuff. We just spent $2 trillion already on a bunch of other pet projects. We got to wake up, America, and we have to look at where our politicians are spending the money. And EO Joe is penning it away. Our money, our grandkids' money, our great, 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 great grandkids' money. And I mean that honestly, we have to be careful. Retta, you are so sweet. Retta gives me a high five award, a high award, a stay safe award. You're the best, Retta. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I really appreciate you. Vicky, why do you get in trouble and I don't get in trouble when I tweet politically? Because you're not conservative, Retta. I mean, right? You don't right? Do you ever tweet anything that's in support of Mr. T? Do you ever talk about how ridiculous Mad Max is? Do you talk about the hypocrisy between the left and the right? That when Newsom did go to French Laundry and how Pelosi tried to blame the hairdresser, saying she set her up for breaking her own rules, that I put hypocrisy in its place and put it right out there and say, "Hey, we need to, right? Step up, stand out and speak." I'm speaking about the things that they don't want us to talk about. I got censored. I was kicked off Facebook and Twitter for the last month or 3 weeks of the election, right? It was before the election. I couldn't post at all. And they sent me a thing that says, we basically, I think anyone that had support on Donald Trump's website, then of course was passing that information out because a lot of my friends got it. I never say anything mean, never say anything violent. I say, wake up, America, and look at this is called hypocrisy. When the leadership can do what they want, but tell you what to do, that's different. That's not okay. And so that's why I get in trouble because you're being if you were to uncover something that the left, like let's say you had Lil H's computer and you actually had some evidence on that, you'd get banned too. um yeah, right, there you go, Retta. I mean, Dale told you where to go. Like, sorry, I didn't. I'll check it out. Yeah. It was nice to hear Brett say today that HAPS will have no political affiliations. Yeah, that is good, right? It's good but they're not trying to ban us from having a political perspective. I'm a conservative and I have a conservative viewpoint. It's even a strong conservative viewpoint, but it's not one that puts other people down. Like, Retta has explained, he's on a different place. I'm never gonna put him down. I actually love Retta. I think he's awesome. We just don't agree. And maybe someday we will, or maybe someday we'll be closer in agreement. But mine is not actually a political line. And I think that's what like our current administration and representatives are kind of doing. They are dividing political lines, like the Democrats and the Republicans. Well, I'm not looking at it as a Democrat or Republican. I'm looking at it as someone, like I said, from a conservative nature with a fiscally financial background, right? So coming from as a bookkeeping and tax preparer and someone who's bought and well, I've created, like, from the ground up, built and sold 4 businesses of my own. We've created 4 others that we actually still run. So, I come from that. I can't just print money, right? I can't just overextend myself and tell people, "You know what? I'll pay you maybe in 10 generations." We can't do that, and our government shouldn't either. In certain circumstances, we have to extend ourselves, and we have that opportunity with, the way the World Bank and the way, politics works, but it shouldn't be a mainstay. We need to have a balanced budget. We should always have a balanced budget because that's the way it is. It's kind of like you need to live within your means. The only time you need to borrow on a credit card, right? Like, for instance, an infrastructure bill, if we realize something is about to happen and we've got to fix it and we need to take out those bonds or we do something, then it should be done for a short term. The projects that are on that infrastructure bill, I mean, do we really, I mean, again, even if it was dilapidated and falling down, is right now the time to redo or enhance or expand the Michelle Obama Library? I'm just asking, right? I mean, is it right now the time for us to redo, other museums? I don't think now is the time. Does it mean never? No. Does it mean, okay, let's say you get, $50,000 because those things need to be done before they're destroyed, and we'll work on the next thing. Not 200 million right now. They don't need 200 million. I mean, I'm not saying they don't need it long term, but right now, that's not a good use of our funds. It just isn't. We have huge infrastructure things that need help, and yet we're putting 5%, or it was 9% of that bill, towards infrastructure. The rest is a bunch of pet project crap. Reparations. Okay, I'm against reparations, but if the American people agreed, and it, like, American people, not EO Joe, but the American people agreed that was going to happen, then that would be something that would start, that we would look at, and we'd start to, maybe you put a separate tax or something. I don't know, but lumping it in with this infrastructure bill without the American people's consent, it's wrong. And again, we have to speak up. We have to say something. And again, most people don't know it's there because who has time to go through all those bills? But we have to wake up and we have to listen to people that are telling us what's in there and then saying, okay, do I agree? Is this the time? We've already spent more money than any president has ever spent, right? I mean, between the regular budget of 4 trillion, the 2 trillion we already put in the first stimulus package, right? I mean, plus the, I mean, I don't want to get off on a tangent because the broadcast is almost over, but hopefully that makes sense. We've got to do better. We have to raise the bar on the people that are coming into office and what our expectations of them are. And we've got to do better and making them accountable and saying, no, we're not spending another $2 trillion because you're trying to pretend that it's for infrastructure. It's not, and we don't have the money. So stop it. We can do the bridges and we can do the nuclear plants or whatever needs to happen, but we don't need to spend this money on the Green New Deal and doing 50,000 stations for electric charging. I love electric cars. I don't have one yet. I'm going to have one. I like electric cars. I think they're cool. I love, especially when you have solar, panels on the house. I like that. But I don't think we should be spending money for, I mean, I'd love to have stations all over the US. So when I do have my electric car that I can do that, but it doesn't make sense. It's not the right time to do it. And this Green New Deal is going to again, it's him paying off, his pet projects. It just doesn't make sense. Sorry. Let's see. Cool. Come back here and let's talk about it, or I will come to your broadcast. Oh, you guys. Okay. Yeah, Lil H, exactly. Retta needs to move to California and then check his affiliations. I know, right, Cher? Retta, if you were out here, I think, you might feel differently. I love listening to different opinions and ideas, but respectfully, I am not bashing Vicky. She can always listen and I will listen back. I don't think anybody said you were, right? I think they're just asking, honestly, Retta, the people in here, I would never let anybody bash you. I would never, I know you know that I would never do that. And I don't think anybody in here thinks you're bashing me. You're allowed to ask whatever questions you want. I mean, goodness, we get trolls in here, and you're not a troll. You're lovely. COVID got 1 million to refurbish the Kennedy Center. Right. I'm sorry. Did we really need that right now? Maybe it needs it, but right now is not a good idea. Right now. Fix the wall, Joe, and then we'll talk about the rest of your pork. Exactly. Let's finish the dang wall. We're paying penalties, people. We already paid for the wall. We're paying penalties by not finishing the wall. So Joe's costing the taxpayers money by refusing, by digging his heels in and refusing to let us finish. That is wrong. That should be like impeachable almost, because that's just stupidity, right? I mean, honestly, just can anybody agree, or you can disagree? That's stupidity. Let's see. We've already paid for the wall. We know that it works. We know we have a crisis on our hands, but I'm going to stop building something that's already paid for, and I'm going to pay penalties for not finishing just so I can say, it's being done my way. It's just stupid. I mean, it's just stupid. Let's see. Pork should not be allowed inside acts and bills. Share, I agree, especially in emergency situations. It shouldn't even be allowed. So Congress can't play games with it. The Senate can't play games with it. The president can't play games with it. It shouldn't be an option. I 100% agree. Got to run. Bye, Retta. Heal my right leg. Oh, 2 days ago, I was exercising and fell off. Oh, no. Retta, I hope you feel better, sweetheart. Now's the time to worship. We got to worship God and pray that he saves us. Vog Live from Hayden Heights. Welcome to the broadcast. Hopefully, you'll subscribe. We'd love to have you back. I love Retta and his brother Nassim. I didn't even know he has a brother, and I didn't know he was on. So, see, you know a lot more about Retta than I do. Let's see. Oh, your brother's name's Yassine, or you're saying hello to someone else? I don't know who that is. Sorry. Oh, it's your oh, I see. His brother's name is Yassine. I think I have seen Yassine before. 5 million a day to not finish the wall. Right? That's crazy. You're twins, Retta? How come I didn't know that? See, I feel so out of touch with my buddy Retta right now. We will get in touch soon, Retta. And like I said, I'm going to do a broadcast with Retta one of these days. I really am. As soon as I get this rod settled in and stuff, things are going to be. I'll have a little bit more time on my hands. There's so much more with the Jenner videos that I think you guys should watch. Like I said, she talked about the suicide rate, how it was 9 times greater than the general public in the trans community. I think that says something too, and that we need to be careful, especially if her loyalties and her passions and stuff are leaning towards that. Again, we have to take care of America first right now. We got to take care of California first, and we have to be aware of what's happening and how some of these policies, like allowing kids to start gender reassignment at 6 or 12 years old, will create more kids in a place of suicide. Like I said, the transgender community has some confusion issues. It's called gender dysphoria, and again, that's become non-politically correct to even talk about, even though it is a medical condition. And so, we got to look at those things too. um Let's see. Like I said, there's so many things here, you guys. I literally have like 20 little things of notes here, but I hope that you guys identify. Oh, yeah, she asked about sanctuary state, and she was like, I think we should be a sanctuary state for small business, but she wouldn't say yes or no. So I think we know where she lies. I think she is definitely, if she calls herself a Republican, I would say she probably is a rhino. But I don't think that she is. Yes, I love your governor, DeSantis. I love, love, love him. I love him. Caitlin and Bruce are twins too. That was funny. That was super funny. Mm. Do you guys ever do broadcasts together, Retta, you and Yassine? Let's see. Today, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis suspends all local COVID. I know you're saying ugh, like you think that's bad. Oh, Retta, you want to switch? Why don't you come live in California and I will go have my freedom over there in Florida? Yeah. So, and we're going to talk about this later. But again, those of you who've been asking questions, I want to make sure that you had the information that I was talking about before of where you can go for some more info there. I think you can see it there, right there. There, I would go and download their little 3-page booklet. It tells you about some of the stuff. If you're watching, I mean, if you're listening, you're going to have to watch the video for that one. But I recommend you go there and get that. And Greta, it's good to have freedom. It's good to be able to breathe. It's good to get rid of those COVID things. And like I said, go over there, that thing that I just held up. Go over there, download that 3-page thing, and then start doing some research. Remember, with the brave duck. check it out with the brave duck and see if you come up with anything different. But either way, love you just the way you are. You guys are an amazing audience. I am late for Bible study. My husband's messaging me right now saying it's already after 7. I appreciate each and every one of you. Wait, before I go, I know you don't like wearing a mask, but if you were in a hospital visiting someone, you won't wear a mask. Of course I will. And as a matter of fact, this is a good point. I will not broadcast tomorrow because I'm going to see Rod. So you guys know I have a friend that has cancer, stage 4 cancer, is coming to live with us. Not going to wear a mask throughout my whole house, but anytime I'm serving him something, I will wear a mask when I go in. I do want to protect other people, right? But I'm not going to wear a mask in my house all the time. And he knows that, and he's totally okay with it. He has his room. He can come out and be with us. I'm not going to invite, people over to just come hang out if he's there. If I have people coming over, I'll have him go in his room because I'm also not going to have my guests wear masks just to be around us. But I do want to protect the vulnerable, Retta. This is not me being defiant. That I would always try and protect someone who's vulnerable, right? But I don't expect the world to protect me. So, anyway, hopefully that makes sense. I appreciate you very much. I will see you guys back on Monday, and until next time, I want to remind you, like I always do, to dream it, believe it, and achieve it.